Let's jump right into the eye of the hurricane. And no, I am not talking about the actual physical tornado that just ripped through the town and destroyed half the properties. I am talking about the human tornado herself, Leslie Thomas. Spoilers for the highly anticipated Friday, June 26th episode reveal that Leslie makes an announcement that causes absolute, unadulterated panic. Are we even surprised at this point? Let's be real for a second. Leslie has always been the ultimate catalyst for chaos in Fairmont Crest. Wherever she goes, drama inevitably follows, usually at a deafening volume. But this time, the stakes are literally life and death. She brings this panic-inducing news directly to Ted Richardson, and we have to wonder, what on earth could she possibly be screaming about now? Hasn't this family been through enough trauma in the last 72 hours? Most fans are immediately pointing their fingers at Eva's condition, and honestly, I completely agree with this theory. Yes, we all breathed a massive, collective sigh of relief when Eva woke up from her liver transplant surgery looking completely healthy. But come on, guys, this is beyond the gates. When is anything ever that simple or easy? Eva just survived a massive, traumatic fall in a dark stairwell, suffered severe internal bleeding, and underwent an emergency organ transplant. You do not just wake up from a major surgical procedure like that and walk out of the hospital the next day to resume your normal life. The critical stage might be over on paper, but the reality of post-operative recovery is a long, treacherous road filled with terrifying potholes. Let's get into the medical nitty-gritty of what might be happening here, because the possibilities are genuinely terrifying. A liver transplant is one of the most complex surgeries a human body can endure. There's absolutely no guarantee that Eva's recovery will be smooth sailing. What if Leslie's panic is about a sudden, severe complication? We are talking about the very real risk of surgical site infections setting in, or even worse, severe vascular issues. Imagine if a blood clot has formed. A blood clot could easily block the newly connected blood vessels supplying that transplanted liver. If that happens, the new liver won't function properly, leading to severe ischemia and eventual necrosis, meaning the liver tissue or the biliary tract literally starts dying inside her due to a lack of blood supply. Can you believe how devastating that would be? Kat sacrificed a piece of her own body, almost died in the process, and it could all be for nothing if Eva's body rejects it or a massive clot destroys it. And we absolutely cannot ignore the psychological toll this is taking on Eva right now. When she woke up, she was immediately slammed with the soul-crushing guilt of knowing that her half-sister Kat was fighting for her life in a coma just down the hospital hallway. Psychological stress has a massive, measurable impact on physical recovery. Eva needs strict rest, a calm environment, and absolute compliance with her doctor's orders to allow her body to heal. But how can she rest when she feels entirely responsible for Kat's critical condition? If Eva is stressing herself out, her blood pressure could spike, leading to exactly the kind of vascular complications we just talked about. I firmly believe that Eva's intense guilt might be triggering a physical downward spiral, and Leslie, being the hypervigilant mother bear that she is, catches the first terrifying signs of it and goes into full-blown panic mode. Let's take a moment to analyze Leslie's current state of mind, because the woman is hanging on by a very thin thread. In the span of just a few days, she lost her entire house to a devastating tornado, almost lost her daughter to internal bleeding, found out she wasn't a biological match to save her, and had to rely on her sworn enemy's daughter, Kat, to save Eva's life. Leslie is a raw nerve right now. When she rushes to Ted with this news, I imagine it is going to be a scene of pure, unadulterated hysteria. Ted has been bouncing between Nicole and Leslie, trying to be the supportive father to both his daughters. But if Leslie screams that Eva is crashing, Ted is going to be ripped right back into that agonizing nightmare of potentially losing a child. It is going to be incredibly hard to watch. But here's the kicker. What if Leslie's news isn't just about Eva's physical health? What if it's about the Dupree family? Many fans think Leslie is just overreacting to a minor medical hiccup, but I actually think there could be a darker twist here. What if Leslie overheard something she wasn't supposed to? The hospital is a hotbed of secrets right now. We know Danny and Bill's dirty little elevator secret is floating around, and Andre's getting suspicious. But more importantly, What if Leslie found out something about Kat's medical records during all this rigorous pre-op testing? There have been wild theories circulating for years about a potential DNA discrepancy or a switched at birth scenario between Kat and Eva. If Leslie stumbled upon a piece of information that blows the Dupree family legacy wide open, that would absolutely cause the exact kind of sheer panic the spoilers are teasing. However, let's pivot back to Kat for a second, because her situation is incredibly precarious right now. Kat finally woke up from her coma after experiencing that profound, intense, alternate reality dream. She went through a massive emotional journey in her subconscious, witnessing a world where she was the outcast and Eva was the golden child. She realized how hard Eva's life has been and finally found a place of understanding, if not outright love. She woke up enlightened and empathetic. But physically, she is incredibly weak. She just suffered a severe complication where her heart rate spiked dangerously. Her body is fragile, and her mind is still processing the trauma of nearly dying on the operating table. This brings me to my next, and frankly, most infuriating theory. What if Leslie's panic-inducing news is delivered directly to Kat? Or what if Leslie causes a scene that directly affects Kat's fragile health? We all remember how Leslie cornered Kat in the hospital stairwell, screaming at her and berating her when Kat was hesitant to get tested. Leslie has zero boundaries and zero tact. If Leslie finds out Eva is suffering a complication, who is she going to blame? In her twisted, panicked logic, she might actually blame Kat. She might barge right into Kat's hospital room and accuse Kat's liver of being defective, or accuse Kat of somehow sabotaging the surgery with bad energy. If Leslie unleashes her chaotic, toxic energy on a freshly awakened, medically fragile Kat, the results could be catastrophic. Kat's blood pressure could skyrocket, throwing her right back into a critical state. Can you even imagine how furious Ted and Nicole would be? Nicole has been sitting vigil for days, sobbing over her daughter, deeply regretting ever pushing her to take that liver test. If Leslie barges in and causes Kat to code again, Nicole might actually tear Leslie limb from limb right there in the ICU. I would not blame her one bit. The sheer audacity of Leslie to attack the girl who literally gave up a piece of her own organ to save Eva would be entirely unforgivable. Ted is going to be caught right in the crossfire of this impending explosion. He just begged Kat to fight and wake up. He has been growing closer to Nicole, sharing these deeply intimate, emotional moments of parental terror. But he also shares Eva with Leslie. When Leslie drops this panic bomb, Ted is going to have to play peacekeeper while his own heart is breaking. I honestly feel a little sorry for Ted here, even though he created a lot of this mess years ago with his infidelity. He's watching both of his daughters fight for their lives, and the mothers of his children are a powder keg waiting for a spark. Leslie's announcement is undoubtedly going to be that spark. Now, I have to debate a point that I see a lot of people arguing about online. Many fans think Leslie is doing all of this maliciously, that she actively wants to ruin the Duprees just for the fun of it. But I actually think differently. I argue that Leslie's actions, while incredibly toxic and destructive, stem from genuine, paralyzing fear. She isn't a cartoon villain. She's a terrified mother who has absolutely nothing left but Eva. Her house is completely gone, her pride is shattered, and she is entirely dependent on the charity of the people she hates. When she causes this panic, it's a severe trauma response. Does that excuse her behavior? Absolutely not. But it makes her a fascinating, complex character to watch. She is a wounded animal lashing out, and unfortunately, Kat and Ted are right in the splash zone. We also have to deeply consider how this will affect Anita Dupree's recent olive branch. Anita, in a rare moment of sheer grace, approached Leslie to call a truce for the sake of the girls. If Leslie repays that kindness by causing a panic that jeopardizes Kat's recovery, that truce is going to burn to the ground instantly. Vernon and Anita have been trying to stay positive, focusing on the strength and resilience of their family. But a threat to Kat will awaken the fierce, protective Dupree legacy. Martin, who is already drowning in guilt for calling Kat a princess before her surgery, will absolutely go to war against Leslie if she hurts his sister. The entire family dynamic is resting on a razor's edge, and Leslie is dancing right on it. So, what are my final predictions for this crazy Friday cliffhanger? I firmly believe Leslie's news will be medical in nature. I think Eva is going to develop a severe blood clot in the new liver, sending her right back into the danger zone with potential necrosis. Leslie will panic, rush to Ted, and in her hysteria, she will cause a massive scene that Kat overhears from her bed. Kat, who just woke up with a newfound empathy for Eva, will try to intervene or panic herself, causing her own monitors to start blaring. It is going to be a dual medical crisis fueled entirely by Leslie's inability to keep her composure. It's going to be an absolute roller coaster, and I'm here for every single dramatic second of it. Let me know in the comments below, do you think Eva's liver is failing, or is Leslie about to drop a massive family secret?